Hello everyone. I am Mariam Ali and I am first year PhD student in computer science at University of Limerick. And my research focuses on integrating formal methods in low-code, no-code platform. Today I'll be presenting our research work, low-code toolchain development to accelerate data-driven energy modeling. And in this paper, we have proposed a low-code, no-code approach for energy modeling sector. Basically, low-code, no-code is an emerging visual programming paradigm in which users build application through workflows rather than writing long scripts. And if you are a domain expert who have knowledge of the field but constantly find yourself dragged into coding and troubleshooting which you didn't sign up for, this talk is for you. Low code, no code lets you focus on the problem itself rather than the implementation. There are way more benefits which I'll be covering as we go. So let's dive in. This is an overview of what we'll be covering today. So starting from the background and motivation, building operations account for 30% of global energy consumption and 27% of energy sector emissions as of 2021. This makes data-driven decision-making critical to address challenges like global warming and building comfort and housing stock availability. And we have seen that machine learning is a good way to tackle all this, but creating these machine learning models is far from being effortless. If we look into a general machine learning workflow in any field, it contains 4 steps: data management, model learning, model verification, and then deployment. But in energy modeling context, complexity of each stage increases. So this is the methodology of one of my colleagues who was using ML for predicting energy performance in urban buildings. And if we just focus on the data management part, you can see that it has become increasingly complex because data is coming from multiple sources, and all those sources are using different formats, schemas, and standards. So you can't just query them and merge them. And looking at other steps, you will realize that you just not need coding knowledge, but you have to have the knowledge of the field to make most out of the machine learning algorithms. So why low code, no code? Since we have realized that implementation of machine learning is not as straightforward, so we need to remove that programming syntax barrier to let a domain expert more willing to use this technology. With low code, no code, the development cost is low because we mostly reuse and combine the components and code that already exists rather than rewriting. And the development time is also less because the application design, it happens at logical level. So it is very easy to make changes and then deploy them quickly. One other thing is with low code, no code, we can give the charge to the domain experts and practitioners to lead the design of the tools because they are the ones who understand the problem best rather than the developers. So generally what happens is people write one long monolithic scripts that are hard to follow, and if the person goes, so does the understanding of how that code works. Low code, no code changes that. So in low code, no code, you define application logic through workflows. You start with the palettes of reusable components. These reusable components are the building blocks of the application. And in combination with pre-configured modules, you combine them and create a workflow through visual, on a visual interface by dragging and dropping. So now that you have a good understanding of what low-code, no-code is, I'll introduce Wave, which is a cloud-based low-code, no-code platform based on extreme model-driven development. It lets user model graphical workflows, and it captures both the data flow and control flow of the application. It has libraries of components for every domain, and these components are created and validated by the domain experts themselves. What sets Wave apart from other workflow tools is that it will employ formal methods like model checking. So it will ensure that the workflows that you create are valid. So it's not only going to tell you that the workflow is going to fail, it will give you the exact path and the input that is causing the failure. So you can trace back and fix that component rather than like going into the whole structure. Finally, Wave is domain agnostic. It is not designed for a specific field or a specific programming language. This is the architecture of the Wave. It is more technical, but as far as it is concerned for domain experts and researchers, we have this blue layer, which is the application design layer, where you build and run applications. So going into more details, as I said that Wave uses reusable components. These reusable components are called service independent building blocks, and SIBs. So SIBs are basically, each SIB is a pre-validated block. It is built on correctness by construct approach. So it is all the coding complexity is abstracted from the user. It is a visual block. User only interacts with the usual representation. And in that you can see that there is a name which reflects the purpose of the SIB. There are typed input parameters and output parameters, and depending on the output, there are separate outgoing control flow branches. So if you are creating a workflow and you need a SIB, you can either use an existing SIB. This makes it a no-code activity. But in case you need a SIB that does not exist and you have to create one, it is still a low-code activity, because rather than creating a whole application, you would just be needing to create a few SIBs and merge them, combine them, and create the workflow. If you have, or if you already have a system that works and you want to convert that into a workflow, we have a three-phase methodology. We have recently published it like last week in ComSAC, and we implemented the same methodology to generate SIBs for the energy modeling case study that we implemented. And after generating those SIBs, the concept of taxonomies come into action that classify these SIBs into different palettes. Here you can see the data ingestion palette that contains all the relevant SIBs, and similarly file parsing and formatting and so on. Once you have this classification, you get the SIB library. So what SIB library is, here you can see it is like a directory structure in which SIBs are organized into folders and subfolders. Some of the SIBs, they are common SIB. They can be used in any application, like a workspace in it. It is initializing a workspace, so it can be used in any application. Some are domain specific, like query neo4j for account. This was relevant to the case study that we were working on. And once you have all these SIBs, creating a workflow is quite easy. You just double click, get the SIB representation on the canvas, then you pass the input and output parameters, from another SIB or from the context, or connect the outgoing control flow branches either with the subsequent SIB or with an end branch. I'm going to show it to you how it is connected in a workflow. So here you can see that there was one outgoing control flow branch that was connected to another SIB. The other one was just connected to an end node. It depends on your application logic. So looking into the anatomy of a workflow, so workflow contains single start node and an end node, and this is the context from where the inputs are passed. This is necessary because the workflows, they can be converted into process SIBs and used as it is. Other than that, a workflow can have one or more SIBs. The dashed line connectors are the data flow, and the solid line connectors are the control flow. This is the real case study that we worked on. We implemented two energy modeling workflows. One was for enriching building data with archetype count, and the other is the part of the workflow which was predicting building energy ratings by applying a pre-trained ML model. So as far as the results are concerned, with low-code, no-code approach, rather than having a one monolithic script, we had two reusable workflows that were easier to understand even at a glance. Writing a code took 3 days, but creating those workflows took only 8 hours. Other than that, memory and hardware requirements are, developers don't need to worry about that, because since Wave is a cloud-based platform, all these complexities are handled at the back end. You can create complex data processing pipelines on the Wave and do not have to worry about having a specific hardware device to do all these machine learning tasks. And of course, maintainability and reusability is higher with the low-code, no-code approach rather than the traditional scripting. The key takeaway is it is important to realize ML's full potential in energy sector. It means that we have to make it easier to adopt and easier to use, and with the low code, no code approach, we can do that. We can remove the syntax barriers for the practitioners and domain experts, and Wave introduces more checks and promotes the use of domain knowledge, so the applications are developed by those who understands that problem and operational needs. Thank you, that's all.